Hi, my name is Beth Keaton. I'm the Executive Director of Griffin Hammis Associates, and I am thrilled to be here with my colleague Ashley Lance and her phenomenal family members, Emily and Tammy, her mom. And Em's the owner of a coffee shop, and she's going to be talking a lot more about Em's Coffee Co. as we go. But welcome to our inaugural webinar from the Center on Self-Employment. We're thrilled to be here doing this and to be launching a comprehensive training and resource and dialogue series with people, not just today, but over the next 5 years, to really try to increase access to self-employment throughout the state vocational rehabilitation systems. We were granted the money from the Rehab Services Administration for this innovative training and technical assistance grant. And part of what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of background on that grant itself and where it came from and what we're hoping to accomplish over the next 5 years. And then Em's going to talk some more, and Ashley and Tammy will talk with her about her own particular story and how she went about the process of starting her own business from the very early stages on through, I think she's in, they can clarify, year 10, is that right, Ash? It's been a good little while that she's been up and running and having really fabulous success, and I think is leading the country in terms of continuing to show people what's possible with the right supports. But it didn't come all 100% easily either, right? So I think anybody who is looking to start a business, whether or not you happen to be a prospective business owner who experiences a disability, business startup has barriers along the way. And so some of those are going to be systems and more unique to being supported by systems that do support people with disabilities. And some of them are just a part of the key business development and ownership and launch process. Our team at the Center on Self-Employment, we again represent Griffin Hammis Associates, and we are delighted to be working closely with two phenomenal entities. One is the Virginia Commonwealth University RRTC, and they're being a key part of this project, both in terms of the website, everything we're doing today, they're supporting this, the database of all the materials you'll be able to search and support as you're learning about self-employment with us over these next 5 years. And then they're also really helping significantly with the research and publications associated with the work that we'll be doing. The Harkin Institute is joining us to support with policy research, which you'll see in a minute is one of the core objectives to come out of this project in addition to the training. Self-employment in the state VR system is probably among the very most varied of policies. So you see tremendous differential between states in terms of what they require of self-employment participants, what it takes to actually access the self-employment program. And so a core feature of what we're doing is collecting those policies, researching those, and then putting out a series of recommendations really designed to help increase access to self-employment across the board, right? So one of the things we're really focusing on is this parity of access to self-employment services, regardless of where you live or any particular demographic of who you are as a prospective business owner. At Griffin Hammis, we have had a long history of working with self-employment. So the company was founded in the early 2000s, and almost immediately through some work being done in rural parts of Colorado and Montana, they began to explore business ownership as a pathway, not just to employment, but to employment creation, and to really allow people the opportunity to build and create for themselves what sometimes was not there in their community. And from there, we have grown and expanded our self-employment efforts to the point that we've written one of the first and only books, the most extensive guides on how people making self-employment work for people with disabilities. So a really step-by-step process to how can people go through to actually get businesses up and off the ground. We developed the first and only that I know of statewide certification program for providers of self-employment, and that currently runs in both Florida and in Texas. And self-employment is a core feature of everything that we do here. We primarily focus on customized employment, and as a piece of that, we recognize the enormous power and opportunity associated with business ownership. The key to all of this, though, is what we'll be tackling over the next 5 years through our work around the center, which is how do we increase opportunities and access, and how do we ensure that everybody involved in this gets the support that they need, regardless of whether they're a prospective business owner and somebody who's accessing the state vocational rehabilitation system, or they're a state VR counselor, or a state VR tech or associate, tribal VR throughout the country. We want to make sure that no matter who it is or where they are, that everybody involved in this project has the resources and the tools that they need to truly help people launch successful, viable businesses in their own communities. Inside of all of that, to just break it down a little bit more specifically with our targeted objectives. So the core function or the key outcome we're looking for over the next 5 years is to build the capacity of federal and state public entities and private agencies, right? So we're looking, the target of this work is to ensure that VR counselors and VR professionals have access to the information and the resources that they need to be able to successfully support self-employment and telecommuting throughout all of the work that they're doing. But beyond that, we want to make sure that we're targeting and reaching all stakeholders. So it's not just exclusive to the state VR agencies, the webcasts that we'll be putting on, the trainings that we'll be doing, the resources that we'll be developing, the publications that we'll be putting out will be addressing the needs across the stakeholder group and not exclusive solely to people who are working for the state VR agencies. And again, all of this, the training, the resources, the materials, the guidance, are all designed to get to that one key outcome of helping more people access and achieve self-employment, business ownership, and telecommuting as viable and sustainable employment outcomes within their own communities. Our work is divided into 2 core objectives, which hopefully will probably present themselves fairly fluently and interchangeably in terms of this website as the interface. But we'll be working on the one hand on a comprehensive self-employment and telecommuting curriculum. And that will be based, the content of that curriculum will be based upon information that we're gathering and analyzing from the 9/11 data analysis for the state VR system, as well as some of these public research policy and recs that I'm talking about or that I referenced with the Harkin Institute. We're also conducting in partnership with our partners at VCU focus groups, and we'll be disseminating a comprehensive needs assessment throughout the state VR systems over the next several months to try to gather as much information as we can from the VR professionals to learn more about what it is that they really need in order to better support self-employment cases. We know what self-employment is, and we know what the core areas of self-employment are, right? We know about coming up with business concepts and conducting market research and developing business financials and researching and writing a business plan. There's a tremendous amount of information out in the world on that. What we really need to do is we need to contextualize all of that and better understand it through the lens of the state VR agencies, so that we're not just teaching what is business concept development, but we're really teaching what does business concept development look like within the state VR system, and what does a VR professional need in order to help somebody and provide feedback to somebody who's in that phase of business launch. All of the information that is collected from this data analysis, from the policy analysis, from the focus groups that we'll be conducting, from the needs assessment that's going out, ultimately will help inform us in order to develop a proficiency scale for counselors. So again, our goal is not just to provide content on self-employment, but to really understand better what is the job of a VR professional look like if they're going to support a wide variety of VR customers with self-employment or telecommuting as a potential employment outcome. And that will be captured in this comprehensive proficiency scale that really details what are the elements of that job, so that then we can better design not just training, but resources and other support so that they have access to the information that they need throughout the process. The curriculum will be available in 2 ways. So there'll be a comprehensive curriculum that will be launched hopefully by the end of year 1, which is the end of September in 2021 or beginning of next year, really, for any VR in-service professionals. So that will run through our website, this website where you are now, and we'll make sure we send information out from the listserv, and we're publicizing it on the website when the actual comprehensive curriculum is up and running. We're also piloting or developing and piloting a smaller curriculum that's going to be embedded within the rehab counseling master's degree programs at 4 universities. And we'll pilot that over the first year of the project and then refine it so that more pre-service professionals also have access to information about self-employment, and they leave the pre-service training program with an understanding that self-employment really is a very legitimate outcome among all of the possible employment outcomes that they may be supporting. In addition to the comprehensive curriculum that we'll be developing, we're also going to be developing, some short-term training and resources. So again, this website is going to be the hub of everything that we're doing. Unless you are a pre-service curriculum or pre-service student, then you'll be accessing some curriculum through your university. But otherwise, this is the location for everybody to come to get the information. So we have this website up and running. It has a searchable database. So you can search by topic for anything that's of interest to you. There are resources that will be a growing body of resources as the work unfolds. There's a really cool feature, a policy map that should be coming hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks, where you'll be able to click by state and access a policy summary of that particular state, as well as links to the state policy if you want to learn more about policy in your own state, and or if you're interested in researching or learning more about what policy looks like elsewhere. This webinar series that we're kicking off today will be going, so that we'll be having this every month regularly going forward, as well as a question and answer session that we'll be offering every weekly as well. And then finally, one of the things that I love the most about the website is that there's an Ask Us question or Ask Us section. So if you have any questions, if you're looking for any information on anything in particular, you can also go to the website, type your question in and submit it, and somebody from the project will respond to you. Basic timelines, year 1, and I think we talked about most of this, but the draft curriculum will be coming for the pre-service. We'll be running a series of trainings over this website outside of the webinars that ultimately will become the foundation for the curriculum. And we will have a comprehensive policy and data analysis. The first midterm report is due at the end of this month. And then there'll be a comprehensive report on all of the policy that was reviewed this year, along with the core recommendations to state administrators in terms of how to design accessible policy, right? And again, with this idea of parity of access and equitable access to any potential VR customer or prospective business owner within the VR customer group. We'll also have the results of the needs assessments, the focus groups, and the proficiency scale drafted. In terms of the website, webinars again, outrolling as of today. The resource database is there and will be growing. So check the website regularly because we will be updating it on a weekly basis. And that's the website. So that's the key that you look at. You'll see the policy link, or at the top there is in the menu bar, there's a link for policy, and that's where the policy map and the resources will be. You can see on the menu at the top the Ask Us button, and that's where you can go to type questions. There's also a menu item for resources, a menu item that'll give more information about the partners. And hopefully this is going to be a great ongoing one-stop shop for all of the different connections and information related to the innovative practices that are happening in self-employment, not just within the state VR agency, but elsewhere as well. The website itself is centeronselfemployment.org. And with that, I will turn it over to Ashley.
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. My name is Ashley Lance, and I also am part of the Griffin Hammis Associates team, and also M's sister. So I have the great pleasure today of introducing you to my sister M, and she'll talk to you here in a little bit. I'm going to kind of set the stage for you in sharing her story as an example of someone who has experienced some systems barriers. And when we talk about that parity of access to self-employment, that she went through a couple of speed bumps in order to get to starting her coffee shop. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today, but I think most importantly, as we start this series and start this project on the Center for Self-Employment, that we are continually sharing with you stories of success and stories where individuals are working all over the country in different types of businesses and finding really what fits for them. So I will get started in telling you a little bit about Em, and then we'll turn it over to the real star of the show to share her experience. To set the stage, our family is from Northeast Iowa, and to remind you where Iowa is, it's below Minnesota and above Missouri, also known as a flyover state. But often I think when we hear stories of individuals with disabilities being born, particularly 70s, 80s, that the prognosis was really bleak to parents, and sharing that you may consider institutionalization. Em was given lots of labels as a newborn, and that she wouldn't walk, she wouldn't talk. Clearly wasn't the message to my mom was not, you have just birthed an incredible human being who's going to be a business owner and make great accomplishments in her life. And so that diagnosis and that prognosis was bleak, and it didn't come with a lot of possibilities. And I think Em's experience in the school system as well was also set with a lot of systemic barriers that we see in creating labels and setting expectations, and also the idea that she wouldn't be competitively employed in the community because of who she is and the impact of her disability. And so I think there were various barriers in school. When she graduated, she was told that the best option for her would be facility-based employment at that time. And part of Em's story is that that wasn't the best fit for her, and she tried it for a couple of years. And I think our family was in a place where a lot of families are at that time, where it felt really comfortable, right? Knowing exactly where she would be Monday through Friday from this time to this time on a scheduled transportation route. All of that felt really comfortable. However, it wasn't the best fit for Em. It didn't highlight who she is as a person. It didn't allow her access to the community and to connect with other people. And so as a result, because that wasn't the best fit for her, she chose not to return to that setting. And then that's really at the time when Em and our family was faced with, what are the employment options for her in a competitive employment setting? And so because of who she is and our family's experience in self-employment, the idea spurred about connecting Em with people and her love of people, her desire to be a morning person, and also the need of the community. The town of Independence didn't have a coffee shop. And so we won't talk a ton about the feasibility today, but what existed was Em has skills and contributions and passions, and Independence needed a coffee shop. And it was looking about what the town of Independence needed and also what Em could contribute. And that's how the coffee shop was born, not out of necessarily this idea that she loves coffee. She actually doesn't drink coffee at all, and she'll be the first one to tell you that. But thinking about that we can get to the idea of self-employment through a lot of different pathways, particularly through the use of discovery. When we think about self-employment, I think particularly for individuals who may need long-term supports, it can feel a little maybe unsettling to know where all of those supports are going to come from. And so Em also has a lot of supports as part of her team, from the concept development to her opening the door and to continuing business 11 years later. So I think that for Em, it starts with the foundation of her family and her friends, and particularly our mom, who was the forging force of making sure that Em had a pathway to success. Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation also was a partner in Em's story. There were some speed bumps in getting there, and we'll talk about those in the next slide, but they were able to provide her with financial assistance to be able to pursue some training and some marketing. Em also does have long-term supports through job coaching, and she uses her Medicaid home and community-based waiver. She has an option where she uses self-directed staff, so she's directly hiring her job coaches at the coffee shop, and that's something that's really important for her to maintain in having access to her Medicaid waiver and that self-directed service option. She also did a lot of networking initially to start talking about the idea of a coffee shop, and that led to grant opportunities that we don't necessarily think of that were able to provide that needed match for vocational rehabilitation funding. And also, one of the most important pieces when we think about self-employment for individuals who are utilizing Social Security disability benefits is pulling in that certified benefits counselor through your local work incentive planning and assistance project. So with M, I think one of the pieces that was really important in her business development was pushing policy, right? So initially, when we think about policy and language and that parity of access, sometimes there are words in policy that can make us interpret that a business owner would have to do 100% of all business operations. And when we think about that, particularly in our family's message, that our family comes from a long line of hardware store owners. And my mom would be the first to share with you that she owns a hardware store, but she doesn't necessarily fix the lawnmowers or fix the chainsaws. She hires people to do that, right? So that every business owner really does rely on other people in operating their businesses, and how we interpret that for individuals with disabilities should mirror how we see that for any other business owner. Also, there were some policy pieces around Medicaid, right? So it was really important for M to be able to hire other individuals with disabilities, but because she has a small staff, initially you might look at that and say that she has an enclave opportunity, which was not the sense at all. But when we look at policy, it was really figuring out what that would look like for her to be able to hire other individuals with disabilities, and also what would be her access to Medicaid funding and supports. Because in our town at the time, she really didn't have a provider for job coaching or job development, which was another reason why M pursued self-employment. But what is that going to look like for the individual? M also did a significant amount of marketing and training. So she went to barista school in Minnesota. She went to ice cream scooping school, which does exist. Also, she worked with a marketing company to create her logo. And then the best thing about M is she's not afraid to talk to anybody. And so we really tried to promote that small town gossip of, you know, sharing that she was going to be opening up a coffee shop. So she used to have a scholarship in high school and shared that evening at the scholarship announcement to all these students and parents that she would be opening up her own coffee shop. And so there really is this way of just natural communication that we can spread through the grapevine that a business is coming. Also, for M, finding a building was an important piece. And so this also felt like a speed bump in the process, where there had been previous coffee shops in Independence, and you can find more about her business on her website and learn more about that story. But there was previous coffee shops in Independence, and that building became available, and it felt like that was the place that M really needed to be. And then that building went to somebody else. And so M, where M's inhabits now, used to be an insurance building and a gymnastics studio. And so there was massive renovation that was done by our dad and our grandfather. And we'll show you a couple of pictures, but one of the creative pieces in that is our parents own the building, but M's only inhabits the first half of the building. So if you think of like a traditional downtown building, it's very long and skinny. And there are two offices in the back that are able to be rented by other businesses, which then keeps M's rent lower. So there's lots of creative strategies that we can use and implement when we think about self-employment. This is a timeline of events. So M graduated high school in 2007. She went to the workshop from 2007 to 2009. And again, when she quit the workshop, there was this planning period and development period of her business. And that all occurred from February up into December of 2009, when then she opened. And so she has been in operation since December of 2009, and recently celebrated 11 years. And now I'm going to turn it over to my fantastic sister, Em, and our mom, Tammy. And before they jump in, we're going to show you a short video of Em in action.
So I open the door at 6:30 every morning, and Bo comes at 3, and then I leave at 2:15. I got six employees. I do the cash register like every week. I use it with my espresso machine, and I steam milk with the cups, and I use that needle thermometer when it gets to the top, and then I shut her off.
What's your favorite lunch sandwich?
We have turkey bacon ranch, hot ham and cheese, a Reuben grilled cheese, chicken salad, and we got chili.
I think what's special about Em is that she likes everybody, and she is willing to share her stuff with everybody. She shows us pictures, she tells us her stories.
Well,
And you like everybody, don't you?
yeah.
And she's always friendly. It's kind of like Cheers. You can walk in here and you know Em, you know the staff, they know you, they know why you're here. You can talk to them, you can talk to anybody that's in here. If you want to have a private conversation, there's the room back here. And just to know Em gives a lot of people joy, I think. Because if Em can run a place like this, you know, that there's a lot more that we can do. She's a source of hope for people.
Okay. Chai, regular, add, scone. There we go. $4.
All right.
20.
She is a blessing to the community, whether she wants to hear that or not. She's blessed with a wonderful mom and dad, and she shares that blessing with all of us. She shares that blessing with all of us when we walk in. She is always happy, at least when she's here, right? And she is everybody's friend.
Anything else?
No.
$4.
It means a lot to the community of Independence. They know that when they come here, it's a great place to meet. We don't have very many places in the community where we have a newsroom where we can go back, we can meet. The church groups meet back here. My housing group, we meet back here every 2 months. It's just a great place to come, have a cup of coffee, have good camaraderie, just good friends. It's a wonderful place. This is Em's coffee shop, just totally. She knows the ins and outs. She knows her customers. You know, and you've seen it, people come in the front door, she's right up and seeing them. It's really great to come in the morning. I'm so predictable. I come in here at 6:30 in the morning. Em has my water, my mocha, and my breakfast all ready for me when I come in here at 6:30 in the morning.
And it will be $5. Out of 5. No change back. Right, Trish?
Right now.
And there you go.
I am Emily Hillman.
And I am Tammy Fenner. I'm Mom. And can you tell her what you see?
Where's Ashley?
She's right there. Okay, so what is that?
She left.
What are those
Nope,
pictures?
I'm still
of?
here.
What are those pictures? What is this?
Empty building.
And that empty building is what?
Back.
That's your coffee shop, isn't it? Before we started.
Yeah.
And what is this a picture of? And what is this one?
A picture up front.
And that's your coffee shop now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, the picture, the after picture when it's all done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click.
And now what do you
Um,
see?
T-shirt. Me.
And who else is on the wall there with your t-shirts? Can you see? Who else is on the wall?
Barack Obama and Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Did you go see them or did they come see you?
They come over and see me.
Yeah. How about Barack Obama? Did he come see you?
No.
Did you go see him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's this a picture of?
That's me standing right behind the bakery case. Click. Click.
Sorry.
What's this a picture of?
That's my espresso machine.
Can you talk a little bit about the dots on your espresso machine?
What are those dots for?
Small and small. 2 dots are for large.
So
Yeah. And I'm
small
just
to
gonna,
large what? How much what? What does that machine do? What
Brewing
it
coffee.
puts espresso in a
Yeah.
cup, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It puts the espresso in the cup. Yeah.
And then over here, that's group head. When Megan bangs it really loud, driving me nuts.
And what does that orange line do? Tells you how to line it up.
Yeah, to line it up.
and I just want to interject really quick that when Em was at barista training, so that she received from a company that doesn't specialize in disability whatsoever, but that it was using orange puff paint. So a great example of one of the, when we hear the line, accommodations really are not that expensive. This accommodation was, less than $5 and was this creative thought from her trainers to say, 1 dot to equal 1 shot of espresso and 2 dots to equal 2 dots of espresso. And then locking in the espresso head can be difficult for everybody. So this is a quick way to align it and to also ensure that the espresso head gets locked in and is a benefit to all employees as well.
And
So
also because the lady that was doing the training, her mother had Alzheimer's. So that's where the original idea came from. Okay, you ready for the next slide? Okay, what are these? What are these?
That's
What did that star do? Why did we have that star there?
for decaf.
So you can tell the difference, isn't it? What's the S? The S is what? The regular?
Yeah, the regular
And the other one you would push for decaf, right?
decaf.
Right. That's the grinder for the espresso. And what are those guys? What's the other card?
Flashcards
And what did those flashcards do?
to
What did they-
read,
What did they teach you? What did they help you learn?
drink.
Yeah. They made flashcards to learn all the drinks, to not only help Emily and her employees, but
Where's Ashley?
all the job coaches also learn
Still there?
every time they start, they still use those flashcards.
Where's Ashley?
I'm still here. And I think the
Mhm.
benefit to any of the accommodations that Em is sharing is that they were, one, initially designed around her, but really benefit everybody in the coffee shop. And I can also say that from experience because I used to be part of her Saturday barista crew when she initially opened, and that we all used the flashcards, and nobody wants to be the person who delivers somebody a decaf when they ordered a caffeinated coffee. So they benefit everyone. Are you ready for the next one, Em?
Yeah, ready for the next part?
That's my cash register. I can't.
Okay, you want to get up closer? Okay. What are those? Why do you have pictures? Does it make it easier for you?
To Porsche.
Em uses Square as her point of sale. And so each one of those pictures is basically a picture of either the combination of a drink or the actual, like the actual carafe for the big coffee. So it makes it easier for all of them to actually ring up the sale. And every one of the sales includes sales tax, and they all end in a quarter. So making changes is very easy.
Yeah. And I think that's also a benefit to customers too, because they know when they come in, you know, everything is going to be on the dollar or the quarter. And again, a simple accommodation, but something that we don't oftentimes think about.
Click,
It's also great because the change usually ends up in the tip jar.
click.
You ready to move on, Em?
Yep.
Okay.
That's me. No.
Who is that?
Tom Harkin, Ashley, me, and Mom.
And where were we?
And at the signing of WIOA,
And where was that?
Washington, D.C.
And in what building?
Oop.
Where were we?
At the White House.
Where were we? Yes. And
M.
who is that other guy?
Barack Obama. M goes to the White House for signing of
The WIOA.
WIOA. And I got him that black T-shirt,
You did.
but I'm not wearing that now.
No, you're not wearing that one.
Nope. Wearing my fruit crew.
No. Do you remember what you said to him? No.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. That's good.
Okay, click.
It's always a family question. I just have to add that Em is the one who has had to share her life experiences with others for nearly every experience. And this was just hers. No family, no staff. It was a private meet and greet between now retired Senator Tom Harkin and President Barack Obama. And so we love to ask her questions about
Click.
What she said, because nobody knows.
except for the three of them.
M and Bill Clinton. That's me, Jenna, Bill Clinton, me, Grandma, Bill Clinton, Michelle Fultis. I can't remember all those groups. That's me and Bill Clinton.
And he came to see you, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bill Ashley wasn't there.
No, Ashley didn't.
Shoot.
Ashley didn't get to come to that.
Ah,
one, did she?
shucks.
No.
Nope.
And who's that? Who's that lady?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. And she
And
came
so-
to see you too, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you make her that espresso?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
With the old Megan.
Yeah.
Not the new Megan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, click.
And who is this?
M and M and First Lady Jill
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 Biden. Jill Biden.
Biden.
Yeah.
Can I think what her
Yes.
last name was?
Yeah. She
Yeah.
came to see you too, didn't
Yep. That's when
Yeah.
Nicole was little.
she? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And what does this say?
Oh.
Where is this? Where is that?
I can't.
Where is this?
I cannot even pronounce it.
Yes, you can.
Uh,
Above the door, when you're leaving, it says, "May all who enter as guests leave as friends," and that's kind of M's motto. And my motto from the very beginning is, if you start with a secondhand business, you treat people with disabilities as second-class citizens. And we were never going to do that, so we've done everything here first class all the way.
And we did cookies and coffees and cinnamon rolls and baked goods and I can't remember what else. And out of my customer got me a track and jeans.
That's just recently for the fallen officer.
Yeah. Mm,
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Em.
I think we're
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you.
How can I?
All right. So as you can see, Em is incredibly accomplished and has done some really incredible work in her own community as well as a business owner. And I think just as we wrap up, taking a couple of takeaways with you, that whether you're in the role of a vocational rehabilitation counselor or an associate or an employment specialist, that no matter what your role is, that when we have the opportunity to work with someone in finding employment, that we really get to know them in their environment. And I think that was the piece that was missing when we think about graduating high school, and that wasn't a piece that was taken into consideration about who she is and her contributions and her skills and her passions. But when we do that, we can try and see a different perspective. We can put on a new lens and say, well, maybe this is possible. And I think as professionals, oftentimes the more we work in the system, we can hear a lot of stories, and we can tuck those away, and they end up sometimes becoming these predetermined ideas, right? Because we, as professionals, only can develop to what we know and what we see. And so the more we experience, the more we learn from our business and our community and community members, we identify unmet needs. We identify jobs behind the jobs, even when we think about customized employment. But particularly with self-employment, it's by also identifying what the community benefits from that we can come up with the match, and that it also doesn't have to be driven necessarily by a job candidate's passion for coffee. As you know, Em doesn't drink coffee, but as you can see, she has this really beautiful way, right on cue, Em, that was excellent. This really beautiful way of connecting with people, and that's what was really important for Em and her community. So just thinking about how can we connect individuals and to think beyond traditional placement. Also, that when we provide individualized services, we know that that makes a difference. And when we can think in a customized frame of mind, when we can think, you know, this might be possible, let's figure out what rules or policies or exceptions we need to make to be able to make this possible, as opposed to the other way around, where an idea is presented and we say, well, because of this policy, that's not possible. There is a solution to every problem, as Dave Hammis would say. And so we have to think about that in how we're developing with self-employment as well. And that we can engage family and friends and recognize that oftentimes the subject matter experts in our own life are the people who spend time with us every day, and allowing that to influence the direction of where that goes. So you know, Tammy, our mom, being the subject matter expert on knowing and what could benefit her through accommodations and the cash register, and knowing that a coffee shop could be a good fit for Em, and really being able to push that forward. And that the answer isn't a coffee shop for everyone. So again, that goes to that point that we often develop to what we know. And so the more stories we hear, the more we expand our own capacity in saying, hey, there's a story where I heard about a coffee shop. That doesn't mean a coffee shop is the right answer for everybody, but I heard about a story where self-employment was really impactful for this person and they really thought outside the box. And I think we could apply that here. So just continuing to abide by the philosophy that anything is possible. And we encourage you to stay in touch with us for the Center on Self-Employment.org. You can follow us and our work by signing up for our listserv. And that this project is funded through the Rehabilitation Services Administration.